People ask me all the time, why do you squat without a belt? Why do you squat in flat shoes? Why don't you use Olympic weightlifting shoes? Why do you go full depth? Why don't you go to parallel? Why do you not squat low bar? The questions keep going on and on. Basically, all the questions are coming from people who are doing maybe other styles of lifting, and there's many different styles of lifting between CrossFit, bodybuilding, Olympic weightlifting, powerlifting. There's many different takes on this one thing that we call a barbell, right? There's many ways of moving. When people ask me, why do I go high bar ATG in flat shoes without any sort of gear? Automatically I say, because that's, to me, the most exciting way to lift. That, to me, caught my eye. It's kind of like, why did you start playing basketball? There's a reason for that. Michael Jordan. He was killing it in the 90s. The whole world knew what he was doing. He was an artist. He was an athlete. He was passionate. He was fearsome. That caught my eye, like everyone else on the planet. And he basically popularized basketball. He made basketball, I don't know if it's a number 2 sport in the world or not, but it's one of the best sports in the world. Michael Jordan is responsible for that in my eyes. When it comes to weightlifting, you guys have to remember, I grew up playing basketball. I couldn't care less about all these weightlifters. I couldn't care less about any of these weightlifters until I stopped playing basketball, which was kind of like in my early 20s. Stopped doing that, started going to the gym, started trying to get fit and keep the fat off as I'm not playing basketball anymore. And then obviously, you struggle with the squat, you struggle with whatever. You want to learn how to do these things because you've never done them before. So what do? You go on YouTube and you start typing in some of these keywords and people start popping up. You see a bit of Louis Simmons demonstrating a squat. You see a bodybuilder demonstrating a squat. You see an Olympic weightlifter, all sorts of different people squatting. One of the people that I first started kind of watching was Dmitry Klokov. Dmitry Klokov is one of those guys that, well, he's jacked, as Mark Bell says, jacked and tanned. He's jacked and he's also a weightlifter. Most weightlifters don't look like him. Most weightlifters look like they don't even lift, but they're freaking strong and they're technical and they're fast and the rest of it. He caught my eye because I wanted to look like that, right? This was kind of Ivan back in the day when I was kind of thinking about looking good before moving good. The powerlifting side of me and the performance-based thing came kind of like 24, 25 years old. But I saw him quite early on in the piece. And what caught my eye was his squatting. I didn't know much about cleaning and jerking and all that sort of stuff. But I knew back squatting and front squatting. When I saw that, man, how do I describe this? That 250 kilo front squat pause at the bottom with that, I don't know what techno song is in the background. I forget the name of it now. That is some of the most impressive lifting I've ever seen in my entire life. 250 ATG with a pause. He's completely ATG. Like I'm talking about, like he's relaxing his legs at the bottom, the weight's on top of his chest, and he's holding that sucker up, and then he just powers through. To me, that is the most impressive thing, probably in my eyes, that I've ever seen. There's a few other ones probably on that kind of pedestal of what beautiful is in terms of weightlifting, but that's what caught my that's exactly what caught my eye. Kind of like Michael Jordan hitting the game-winning shot against the Jazz. That to me is kind of like iconic stuff. It's always going to stay with me. So when people ask me, why don't you squat low bar with a belt and sleeves and all this sort of stuff, I'm like, man, that's like asking me to play another sport. Why don't you play soccer? Why don't you play basketball? Why don't you play cricket? I don't like cricket, man. It's a barbell, I get it. It's kind of the same language in a way, but I don't want to squat parallel. I want to emulate Klokov. That's what I want to do, man. That is the most beautiful thing in the world to me. I don't care about numbers, man. If you squat quarter squat, you can squat 3 tons. That's cool, man. Numbers don't excite me. It's the full package, the range of motion, the ability to go all the way down. That's a beautiful thing, man. Then I saw Clarence Kennedy, kind of like he was becoming more and more popular. He seemed like a natural guy. Didn't look all that impressive, like a bodybuilder, but he was moving incredible weight. I found that also very attractive. So I formulated these ideas of what I wanted to be like. And then very soon I kind of learned that most of the people that go to the gym are either concerned about mass, right? Getting as big as possible. And then you got people who just care about the numbers on the bar. But in those goals, there's a lot of, how would you say, there's a lot of things missing in translation. The guys that just care about mass, I don't know. I don't particularly find a big chest all that nice for a guy, right? But everyone's obsessed with getting a bigger chest because of Arnold Schwarzenegger. So I was kind of like, well, that's weird. Like, I don't want to have every body part just big, just like like a cell, like a biology cell just swollen, right? I don't want to look like that. I want to have some body parts bigger and more defined than others. And so then you see kind of the distinction between different body parts. If you're just big all over, like there's some of these mass monsters, it's like a normal guy and you've just taken that slider for body mass and threw it all the way to the right. Everything's big. To me, that doesn't look good. To me, what looks good is like certain body parts. Like, for example, I love seeing a well-developed pair of legs. That to me is really, really cool. I love seeing a very well-developed upper back, traps. That's really cool. I also think triceps, like big triceps, are kind of nice. I don't like massive chests. I don't like, these massive calves or whatever. Like, we all have kind of different takes on this stuff, what we find to be attractive, what we find an ideal kind of body part. That's kind of the mass part of it. And then the other people are concerned with moving weight. I don't know, for the longest time, I thought sumo deadlifting was weird. Like, where the hell do you do that in the world? Like, somebody said you pick up a couch like that. That was kind of the first explanation that kind of half made sense to me. Okay, I'll pick a couch with a split stance. But I don't pick it up with a wide stance. But I don't pick it up with like doing splits. To me, it doesn't seem like a functional thing. Over time, I've kind of warmed up to the idea and I thought, okay, sumo kind of hits a different angle of the body, hits, different type of a glute contraction, more legs maybe. So I kind of warmed up to it. But I see a lot of people making decisions about how they're going to lift purely based on how much they lift. To me, I'm not saying that you're wrong or that I'm right or whatever, but I'm just explaining to me why I don't do some of these things. Okay, maybe I can squat 220, 230 with a parallel and a parallel squat and a belt and wrist wraps and knee sleeves and maybe wraps and all this sort of stuff. To me, that is not exciting, man. Like, to me, like, okay, no worries. You do all that to me and I walk up to the bar and I squat 230. To me, I might as well not have done anything. It means nothing to me, man. It's like getting Ronaldo to go and play tennis. He doesn't care about that stuff. Like, he's not passionate about that. To me, the passion was formed when I saw Klokov. When I saw Klokov do 250 and I can't even freaking do a front rack with a bar because I was just dropping it forward. This is me when I was like 21, 22. I found it extremely difficult. Then I would have to pull like 17 freaking plates underneath my heels to kind of stay upright. I just didn't have the musculature, the technique, nothing. And here's a guy pausing 250. Man, I thought that was hell impressive, man. I have to remind you, like, I don't belong to any particular camp. I'm not a powerlifter. I'm not an ollie lifter. I'm not a CrossFitter. I'm just a guy, man. I'm just a guy that just enjoys training. So this is kind of where I come from. To me, it's an art. Just like Jordan kind of was an artist of basketball. It's not so much about, the analytics of it. Oh, if you put your feet out 55 meters to each side, you can squat, a lot more weight. Some of these guys that are from the Westside Barbell guys, squatting 1,000 pounds. Really now? You're squatting 1,000 pounds. Neither the hip or the freaking knee gets to 90 degrees. It just looks funny to me. It's, okay, you're a strong guy. I'm not saying I'm stronger than you, man. But you can't squat 1,000 pounds properly, man. You can't freaking do it. To me, that's not a squat. That's to me. This is why I don't want to go and participate in powerlifting competitions, because a lot of that stuff annoys me. When I see wide hand placement bench presses, I'm like, what? Like, are we blind? Like, this dude is cheating. his range of motion is 1 millimeter. His chest is going up to the bar is not going down to his chest. It's like, I mean, people can see that, man. Whatever the judges, you can give me a white light or a red light or whatever. The audience, I'm like, well, that shit's weird. That guy looks like he doesn't even lift, and yet he's lifting 200 kilos. Makes no sense to me. To me, that is unappealing. Once again, I'm just the guy that trains, and I do what I find fun. I don't have to slide into a box of set of rules or whatever. I just do what I think is appealing to me. Seeing Klokov and the stuff that he does is impressive as anything. Seeing the Westside Boys squat and all that sort of stuff, it's not impressive to me at all. I mean, it's a whole lot of weight, but every time I see them squat, I always think to myself, I really wonder how much could you squat properly? I just can't get over that question, because I'm seeing Klokov pausing 250, and that's a proper squat. Okay, so that gives me an appreciation how strong this guy is. How much could Klokov squat if he did some of that stuff? I mean, whatever, doesn't matter. I don't have to compete with each other. But this is where I'm coming from. It's about the beauty of the movement. You know, you don't see guys in the NBA shooting underhand shots anymore. You know, guys don't do that anymore. But there was a guy in the NBA that shot 90% from the line doing that. It's not pretty. A lot of guys don't grow up wanting to do that. People want to shoot the way they think is nice and comfortable and you know, good looking and the rest of it. I started emulating Allen Iverson when I started playing basketball. Jordan was kind of in the later part of his career. He was kind of slowing down. And I saw Allen Iverson and I thought, wow, he's a similar type of build as me. Maybe I could do some of the stuff. Pretty as hell, man. He's crossing people over. He's dancing on people. He's floating. He's doing those, you know, layups of high up of the backboard. You know, it looks amazing. And so to me, I'm like, I want to do that. I don't care if he scores 50 points or 10 points or whatever. It's a beautiful thing. You know, it's attractive. So this is why I do the things that I do. The flat shoes, you know, they came on maybe towards the end of last year. I was having trouble with hip pain. I get a lot of these questions. Why don't you use all these shoes? I've got all these shoes. I've got those Nike Romaleos 2s, whatever they're called. You know, they're pretty good shoes. You know, they've got the heel. They elevate you. They make you kind of feel like you're squatting downhill. You're standing on freaking the side of a hill and you're squatting. I didn't like the feeling of that. I mean, I don't have nothing against it, but to me, it exacerbated my hip pain at the time, and so I dropped it. Went to heels, and heels felt better, and I kind of stuck with them. And now I'm kind of motivated to squat ATG in heels, without heels. So kind of like flat feet kind of stuff. So it's entirely up to you. You know, to me, my perspective is that I'm attracted to how Klokov lifts, Lou lifts, Clarence Kennedy, Tian Tao, all these guys. Predominantly, I think the best sport in anything barbell related is Olympic weightlifting. I think, to me, there's no way of cheating. Everything has a function. The rules are clear. The rules are clear. I mean, the last Olympics, I was kind of hell confused with the elbows, the push out of the elbows, lockout, or whatever, all that stuff. I mean, I'm not an expert in the sport by any means, but that was really weird to me. So what if he's, you know, with a flexed elbow and then he stretches it? I mean, whatever. I don't get that, but to me, it's a beautiful thing seeing somebody clean and then, you know, get under the weight, ATG, and then get out of it like full range of motion. It's a beautiful thing. It's an absolutely beautiful thing, and there's a level of standardization amongst all the lifters. The goal is to get the bar up. You do whatever the hell you want to do, basically. If you don't want to squat ATG, then freaking make sure you clean that motherfucker as hard as you can. Clean it up to your freaking eyebrows, and then you just stand up. If you're that strong of a puller, then do that. But to me, it's just a much easier sport to look at, much more exciting. Powerlifting always just has me scratching my head. It's all these dudes with, I don't know, weird ranges of motion that kind of ruin the sport. The totals, the total numbers are weird to me. But anyway, that's why I do what I do. It's purely an artistic thing. I mean, I don't know about you guys. I don't even know if you guys have seen this. Just type in Klokov front squat 250. There's a techno song in the background. I think the video's got like 2 million views or something like this. This particular channel, this video, that I reckon is being reproduced 1 million times, copied over and uploaded 1 million times. But there's very few other lifts that kind of stick out in my head that are as exciting as that. There's another few clips of Klokov where he's doing like those hang snatch pulls, or whatever they're called. I don't know the terminology, but essentially he's in a snatch position, the bar's at knee height, and he goes from that position and flicks it up, like, with something like 200 kilos or something like that. Like, that is extraordinary ability. There's athleticism there, there's technique there, there's speed there, there's so many cool things. And so when I lift, what I'm thinking about is some of these images in my head. When I was playing basketball, I was thinking about Allen Iverson and Michael Jordan, what they would do. Step back, the post up from Michael Jordan, left, right, turn around, jump shot. Allen Iverson, crossover with a little, shimmy to one side and then flick it over to the other side. Those are some of the images that I carried in my mind when I was playing that sport. When I rock up to a barbell, I'm like, Klokov, I think about all these names that I've already mentioned. That to me is what I'm after. That perfection of movement, that ability to control the weight through full range of motion. It's exciting as hell. This is why in recent times, I haven't really talked much about training. But essentially, you're seeing a lot of front squats. I've made a goal of mine now, very serious goal, to get to 180 front squat. I think it's going to be very beneficial for me to aim for that. And I think that will push my squat over to 215, 220. And also the front squat is helping my deadlift. So I'm doing a lot of front squats. Yesterday I did 10 sets of 3 at 120 kilos. I didn't think I was going to be so freaking tired, but this morning I came in, I was absolutely off. I came in straight to the deadlift. I felt off. I couldn't get my legs underneath. I couldn't get that wedge. I didn't feel my quads work at all. So it was all posterior chain. I didn't like it. I stopped at 230. Went to front squats. Front squats felt like crap. Super tired. Everything's sore. Like literally my upper back is sore. My hip flexors are sore. So anyway, I wasn't happy with that either. I didn't want to do volume. So I went over to the hamstring curl machine, lying ham curl machine. I did 5 sets of 20, I reckon I did there, 5 sets of 10, whatever I did. Try to get some juice through the knees, through the hamstrings. Went back, did some more, did another run up with the deadlift. Still couldn't feel my lats engaged. I couldn't feel my quads engaged. So I kind of left it, I think, 200 on that second run up. Went to the back squats after that. I went up to 150. And at that point, I realized, okay, this is not about, individual lift. This is just a systemic fatigue that I'm feeling right now. And I just left it out. It was kind of a crappy workout and kind of put me in a bad mood after that, because it was just, I came into the gym and I did nothing basically. I touched all these movements, but I didn't feel like I pushed any of them. It was basically like a practice session, literally just like a, tap the clock type of session. I could have walked out at that point, but I decided to do some T-bar rowing. I had some ideas about bench pressing. Still haven't bench pressed. I reckon I haven't done it in, I want to say like a month now, man. Like, I don't think I did it during the holidays at all. And that was like 3 weeks holiday. So a whole bunch of time has gone by. I've completely let go of the Bilbo method. The deadlift has consumed me. The recent success that I've had with the deadlift has made me really think about the deadlift. So this is where front squats have come in. This is where this stuff has come in, the T-bar rows. I don't know, my upper back is developing like crazy thanks to these front squats and the deadlifts. Deadlift is improving. I'm feeling really strong. So I'll just continue riding the wave that's currently, behind me kind of thing. The bench press has kind of fallen off the wagon again, but I'm kind of secretly hoping that all this upper back stuff that I'm doing is going to somehow benefit me in the bench press as well. Because we all know, I've heard this many times from great bench presses, that the bench press is a lot about the upper back, the traps, the lats. There's a lot of involvement from the traps, the shoulder retraction. The moment you lose that shoulder retraction on the bench press, it's an uphill battle. So you kind of need to have that really stable base, and then the true kind of power carry over into the bar is kind of manifested, if you want to call it that. But that was the session. It was kind of a crappy session, but it is what it is. You have these sessions all the time, kind of thing, and you power through them, and a lot better than sitting on the couch. I'll catch you guys in the next one. Peace out.